with the show.
We are live.
Wait, did you like the baby like
the Putty Patrol?
Man, I used to have so much fun with my son, especially like we'd go somewhere in the store and be like, wah, wah. And so then I go like, he go like, wah, and like mid wah, I go on his lips, and so then he started getting triggered, like, no, I want to cry, wah. And I just kept making him go.
He's like, stop making me laugh, you bitch! It's the wrong emotion I want.
Well, what's funny is he started doing it on his own around like a year old, and it's like, oh my god, he did it! Like.
So proud when he can do the finger lip thing himself.
Yeah, it was like that, or you start going like, la, 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 and it was like, yes. Yeah, what is up, Ricky Critic? We talked a few days ago. We enjoyed Willy's Wonderland. I'm really happy.
Hands
this
up,
something very
Willy's
off
out.
The wall.
Hands up, Willy's out. I'm gonna feast on your face.
Hell yeah!
What a fuck
man,
fatty.
what a. Oh my god, it's been crazy. So we've been talking in the back room for a bit. What I mean, you've seen the thumbnail, but like what is the main thing we're going to be getting into today?
Well, you got me to watch some Red Pill stuff. Plus, there's some Gina Carano stuff as well.
Yeah, well, okay, so just anyone coming in this rewatch, since no one's in here right now, the Red Pill stuff, I have not actually talked to Ricky about his perspective from seeing this, so I'm really excited. It's going to be fresh take stuff. None of this is like rehearsed, but we have kind of, chatted back and forth about what we're thinking at the moment, but, it's going to be fresh kind of dialogue.
It's one of those random streams where we're like, hey, we're going to talk for a little bit. Wanted to stream? Okay.
Yeah. So, I guess, okay, here's my thing. I've already given my initial video about the Carano news when it broke, when I was on Mad Max's stream. And, I definitely didn't hold any punches about some kind of in the realm of cancel culture stuff with pretty much a whole group against me on the topic. But it was good because these are the type of like quote unquote SJWs, because like they might be sequel fans, they might be like, yeah, get rid of Carano because of this activity. And a lot of them had good points collectively. And I agree with a lot of them on those points. And like that was my whole thing about YouTube, is like we need to be like Ben Shapiro and Bill Maher. Bill Maher is politically opposed pretty much everything with Shapiro. But you find these weird middle ground stuff with them that you don't expect. And at the end of the day, they can like shake hands and be buddies and have a beer or whatever. And just they enjoy each other's company. They enjoy the political banter back and forth. And that's what like politics used to be. People like hollering at each other, and then like, all right, like let's watch football. Now it's like you're sworn enemies if like you voted red or you voted blue, which is ridiculous. Like you and me, I'm pretty. Yeah. I grew up red, and then I went to the Army, saw new people, went to college, kind of got in the blue realm for a while, with the I would say indoctrination has probably been going on for a couple decades, but it's like just full bore happened after Trump became the nominee and then won, especially. But it was still kind of subtle when I was in, but I started noticing it, and I would speak up in class and be like the one dissenting opinion a lot of times, which I guess being in the Army, being a man with a kid and stuff and a wife, I didn't really care about peer pressure as much as like the dumb kids that are fresh. And I knew that responsibility early on, even though I wasn't quite aware. But yeah, it's crazy now. Where are you at with all this?
The cancel culture stuff, or the Gina Carano thing specifically, or
just any of this?
With any of that, well, I've been kind of on the. I never look too much into this stuff half the time if it's not specifically what I want to look into, but it is around me, so I do notice it all the time, of course. And I don't know. I used to be one of the ones who like would be on Facebook and see something on Facebook, and I'd pretty much believe whatever it said. I used to kind of think that, but now on Twitter, there I could see different perspectives or stuff that was manipulated through different form. So I do like to try to sometimes hold what I think when I don't know what it is yet. But when I look into it enough, I'm kind of like, what the fuck is this? Like, what's going on now? Like,
you've grown enough where you're kind of open to like have your opinion challenged, but a lot of times you're resolute from like actual navigating the problem now, right? You would say that?
pretty much. Like, it'd be more if I were to state something. Well, then I've stated it, and if I'm not sure enough about whatever I'm talking about, then I don't know if that's good or bad. But now I think I'm at a point where I know I can say whatever enough. I mean, that's the thing. If I say something now and I don't know enough, I'll learn something later, and then I'll know it. So fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that was the kind of point I lost was that I was trying to say is like before I grew up, small country town, Oklahoma, with like preconceived notions because of like how I grew up with my parents and their ideals and religion and stuff. And started experiencing world as a man of my own. And a lot of the stuff is challenged and you're easily swayed by peers and stuff that seem more educated. But then like as I've gotten older, about 11 years later from high school, now I'm kind of back with the same ideals but different kind of path to get there. I'm an atheist, but I'm pretty hard right conservative, because I see like even though some things might seem cruel and stuff, with like the end result that you believe in on the right, it's like, well, it's there for a reason and it has worked for a reason, and it will probably continue. People will get to these conclusions, and you're seeing it with the walk away movement with Democrats. A lot of them became Trumpers because they saw the lunacy of the left after gay marriage passed in the Supreme Court. That was kind of the last stand of Democrat, not virtue signals, but just like key fights. And there's still, nuances and gray areas to fight for and whatnot, for more perceived equality or equity or whatever. But generally, like, America's freaking great. The West is great generally across the board, America and Europe. And we don't really have much to fight over now. So now, like, there's like cognitive dissonance, and like we're getting into clown world of shit now. Before, how I kind of see it is like, look at Sparta. Sparta is like a testament to like pure masculine energy. They're like the standard, even though some things are cruel and very specific to like their way of life in that era. They stand the test of time for a reason, because like a herd of zebra, you can either follow the stallion that's the standard bearer that everyone's falling short of but trying to like match. He's leading you forward. Or you can be like the weak links in the back and try to get everyone on that level, so you slow the herd down, more zebras get killed by the enemy.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at right now. Now we've got it so good. Now everyone's like, well, what about these people? And it's like, they should, my side, my view is like, well,
it's like once you've got something figured out, and then like there's not as many problems, so you're looking around and you're like, hey, that's a problem. That could be a problem. Let's focus on that. There's a stain on the corner behind the door. Let me focus on that. It's like, I assume that's
I mean, it's a lot of well-intentioned things that are just like I was watching Gad Saad and Jordan Peterson the other day, and I only watched about 30 minutes because it's like a 2-hour interview. But Peterson's being like kind of, regardless of like how he might personally feel about some of the stuff he wrote, he was being like kind of academically critical and nitpicking, tearing apart the book, and they asked the viewpoints of a parasitic mind. And what was it? There was something really interesting that he said. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I've been having this all day. It's a problem.
The parasitic mind, where they suck your thoughts out.
No, damn it. Oh, God. I had to give that preface, about what I'm talking about, but it's going to come back to me. Been in a mental fog all day, but
about butts.
Well, I'll try to gather my thoughts. What's up, unapologetic commie? He says, so if Ben Shapiro's playing the slow Grogu, will Gina play a Jar Jar? And he also says, I wonder why Disney just wasn't honest to say Gina was a god-awful actress. I don't think that, but I definitely think the fandom is more around her is more political than in kind of culture war aspects than the character. I think a lot of the fandom right now is because of what's transpired and not genuine. Like her character is just like blasé. It's okay. It's not good or bad in my opinion. It's just there. If anything, I would say she's not good or bad. It's just she didn't have a lot of material to work with to really differentiate herself in the cast. She's pleasant, and with her personality online, I personally can admit that like she gets a +1 because of her kind of going against the grain, going against the narrative. And unfortunately, it's cost her a job, but she seems to have now gotten a better job, or at least more control and notoriety just for herself. And we'll see where that goes long term, and if it has an effect for Hollywood, kind of not a pun, but Riot itself kind of just be more centered with where you can be politically, be both ways, have Pedro Pascal extreme and have like your quote unquote extreme at Gina Carano, which is just kind of common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got Michael Brent saying, how's it going? Did you play Ghost of Tsushima or Super Smash Ultimate? Well, I don't like Nintendo, and I don't have a PS4. Isn't Ghost of Tsushima a PS4 exclusive? I'm an Xbox guy.
Yes,
not saying that I don't want a PS4, but I actually, when I was nudging my wife to tell my mom to get me a PS4 for Christmas a few years ago. She got me an Xbox, and I was like, "Oh man, I got an Xbox," but like it was great because I got a new system. But overall, I like Microsoft better for like gaming and whatnot, but the exclusives, I wish I had a PS4. So, but they've retained their value really high, so it's not looking in the cards unless I get a stimulus, Biden. I won't be getting a PS4 anytime soon.
Oh no! What will Sony do without your money?
It'll be fine. I see I'll see Venom 2.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, we were talking. I ironically, not purposely, but just like different mediums, especially gaming. I've been into Sword and Sandals for the last like 6 months off and on. Played Assassin's Creed Origins, and that got me digging in a little bit to Ptolemaic dynasty and stuff, and kind of understanding the timeline of Julius Caesar versus like Alexander the Great, and then watch 300 and digging into the behind the scenes, learning that like Miller and Snyder as a director really pulled from historical accounts and writings of Herodotus and Greek culture. So it wasn't just artificial in a comic movie. It's like very faithful to the Greek perspective and lore of the 300. And getting into that in the Peloponnesian War with Odyssey and stuff. And now I'm watching Rome. And it's very interesting that I just happened to start watching the show with this Carano stuff going on, because Julius Caesar is like, I would say, the most iconic martyr. More so than Jesus, in my opinion. Jesus has such a large story, and you take more away from his life than his crucifixion and the trial and all that, the beating, his passion.
His is more like dying eggs.
Yeah, Caesar, he has the Ides of March, and it's so well ingrained in pop culture because of just the majesty and of his betrayal, and what's his name?
Getting stabbed by all his friends with multiple knives. Yeah.
Well, especially Brutus and stuff, E2 Brutus, and whether that was his actual words or just because of Shakespeare, it's so iconic. But then you're watching the show, and it's pretty faithful, even though it's kind of like fictional characters to make this like drama. There's I would say a lot of truth that you can find from documentaries about Caesar and stuff and the goings on of Rome. And it seems that like at some point in Caesar's career, he went to a town and saw a statue of Alexander or something regarding Alexander, and he's like, wow, this guy conquered the world at this age, and like I'm just like a cog in a wheel. And that snaps something in his head. And so that's where the iconic Gaul campaign of Caesar, first Roman to take Rome to Britain, and Cleopatra's involved up to his betrayal in Rome. And the show kind of shows him as idealistic and stuff, some of the things he did for Rome and try and preserve the Republic and everything. And bringing equity to the citizens. But at the same time, he's out for himself, and he bribed people. He bribed enemies in Gaul to help him fight bigger enemies. And, there's a lot of political intrigue with Caesar that's self-serving, despite the idealism he fought for. And so he's a very, I wouldn't say conflicted, but he's, you don't really read about in history and understand that duality to his person. And so it's funny that I'm watching this, getting this perspective of Caesar that you don't get normally, and seeing Carano, because there's a lot of I'm coining the fandom simpage going on, and just being red pill. It's funny because like everyone's fawning over a 38-year-old married woman. It's like she's not an OnlyFans thought or something. She's had minor roles. She's had like one real starring role that no one has watched in Haywire. I saw it from Redbox when I was a kid when it came out. But
Haywire, what's that?
It's got a lot of people. I think it's got Bill Paxton. It's like a spy movie. Bill Paxton, Carano's the star. Fassbender's in it. What's his name? Channing Tatum. So it's got an all-star cast that have had different levels of success, but it's not like a great movie that I recall. It's okay. Might be better, might be worse than I'm older and critical watching it, but I kind of see all this, and it's like Chris Pratt has been attacked by association of the church he goes to, which has made a stance of quote unquote anti-LGBT, which I think is just because they're Christian and so they're not pro, because it's a sin. It's not, you're not a bigot if it's like your religion. Like this is just like, if you're gay, like you got to be celibate. If you're Christian, that's like the end all be all. Hopefully you pray away, live a straight life, whatever, get married, or you just, celibate and serve Christ. That's the general consensus of Christendom. But nowadays, if you're not like in the fold with whatever SJW directives there are, you're a bigot and you're an istophobe and you're an enemy. And so they're making an example of Chris Pratt by association, even though he's been very cordial and nice and not said anything directly. He didn't go with the Avengers for the Biden campaign, and that got him shit. And now they've made Star-Lord bisexual in the comics explicitly. You might have been able to.
You don't want to be the gay? We will make you the gay.
And so I do foresee them trying to press crap. Press
crap? What?
Press Pratt into a homosexual scene of some sort or some situation for him to either bend the knee and go along with it, or have to Carano himself from Disney. And
Carano's going to be a word for a phrase. Going to get Carano'd.
Yeah, and so I think it's funny that all this year since The Last Jedi of hating Lucasfilm for what they're doing, hating Disney for different SJWisms and whatnot, race bending and whatnot, gender swapping, all these things for their directive and their narrative. You still have subscribed and bought movie tickets. You've played Fallen Order. You've played Battlefront 1 and 2. Whether it's just attacking fans or, making them pay pigs for Battlefront series or whatnot, all these different infractions in the new anti-whiteness. Disney directly on Twitter supporting the anti-whiteness racism of High Republic writers. That didn't make you boycott. That didn't make you say cancel Disney Plus. But a girl gets canceled, quote unquote. And it's more complicated than just straight cancel because she's not off Twitter or anything. She has her own voice still. That is, so you get into some red pill stuff. It's just like the trans thing. Trans movement has been attacking boys and stuff. It's always parents are like, oh, gender non-binary with my kids, but it's always pushing feminine stuff on boys. Girls can still be feminine, but boys are always pushing dresses and pink and stuff on them. Undercover people filming doctors and advisors saying like, oh yeah, you can get hormone blockers. You talk to this doctor and this, and you can get them cut early and all these things. Nothing happens. But then girls get canceled by Biden with his initiative, his one fell swoop with a executive order. It's like, oh, trans women can be in high school sports and you can't stop it. Now
Yeah.
everyone's getting pissed. Now women are starting to be TERFs or, anti-trans feminists and whatnot. Now it's a problem. Now a woman speaks out in a book and it gets canceled by Target for a minute. Then they speak up. And this is what's happening in the Phantom Menace with Carano. Now you're saying boycott when for years they've been attacking just the core of the storytelling, not to mention all the other political stuff. You didn't say boycott. You're like, no, maybe I won't buy it or I'll just ignore it or whatever. But now that's the kind of hypocrisy I'm seeing. That I got to call out as a minister.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I thought that a lot more people would be on board with not supporting Disney, I suppose, a while back, like around Solo-ish, kind of like when you said that's around when the uniting should begin, and didn't exactly form until Gina, the stuff happened with her. I mean, it's amazing that she's got this following. That's cool, but it is a little odd. But I'm hoping that this is a better push toward, like with Shapiro and with like an alternate film set aside from the normal Hollywood. But I don't think I'm still thinking about that a little bit. Still trying to research some stuff on it, and it seems like it's. I don't know if you said this or somebody else, but like Pure Flix is kind of the example at the moment, which is not a good example. It's not exactly
the other one.
Cinestate. No, I was thinking. Because I was thinking the opposite of what they have, and that's like,
the
God's not dead, and it's like, oh no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like independent films on a wider scale. That's not, through the Hollywood studios. But I don't know. That's still gonna take a while to get through. But I mean, hopefully this. I mean, this is what it is. So hopefully there'll be some good fruit born from it. But
yeah, no, I agree. I hope something good comes of this for art, because that was my end all be all with Carano, with like this decision and where I stood. Because there's the whole argument of free speech, which her free speech is not being infringed necessarily. There's no.
I think it was more the hypocrisy of it, where like they'll state, this is something that's fireable, but then other employees on the staff will say things that are pretty much on equal par, and they're totally fine, and nobody cares. And it's like,
I agree.
That's the kind of thing. And part of my issue is honestly how much people look into tweets to like, if Twitter is so powerful that can make you lose your job. That's insane to me. I mean, it would really depend. You'd have to say something insane, like super insane, to get fired from it. Like I don't know, if you have a boss and they're like, oh, we look at your Twitter as we do daily. Oh, if you said something a little out of line, man, might have to let you go now. It's like I don't understand that.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if like Carano was like, I don't know, tweeting Richard Spencer shit or Vox Day or something, but she's just kind of saying vague, at the moment, conservative things. But like 20 years ago, these stances of anti-mask and anti-coronavirus vaccine and whatnot and lockdowns, this would be like a leftist thing of like government control. They would be completely against this stuff 20 years ago, the left.
Well, and it's like you could interpret whatever she's saying however you want, because she's not being specific with what she's saying with it, and that's part of it. And it's just, I don't know, it annoys me that this is what could get somebody fired, because like you think about things that you could actually do, and it's like Twitter is known to be a shitstorm. So why is this where people are judging you legitimately? It is insane to me. And that what she said is fireable. I don't understand that. That's what I don't get. But
yeah, so yeah, like I that's where I'm at. Like, there's like the free speech angle of like, well, why can't this actress say what she feels outside of work or whatever?
Hold on, real quick too. I watched the whole interview thing, and she said she was posting the stuff she'd post. She wanted to unite people with them, not cause more shit. Like she was hoping these would be like sweet little unitey type of posts, and nope, the complete opposite happened.
Yeah, yeah. I watched about 15 or 20 minutes of the start of the stream. I just got other stuff to do today. I plan to finish it at some point. But like, what were some key things you took away from it?
Well, I didn't know her background at all. I didn't really pay attention to who she was beyond what she is. And to be honest, I didn't get into The Mandalorian, as you know. So my interest in her, I didn't even know she was in Deadpool 2 or Deadpool 1 or 2. Which one?
The first one. She's with.
Yeah, I hardly remember her in them. I think I can remember the scene where she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll cover up, thank you," or something.
Oh, it's so sweet that she beats Colossus's ass.
Yeah, I think I remember that now, and I kind of remember her face to the part. So, yeah, she apparently grew up fighting her whole life, and like her parents or her family kind of wanted her to be like a doctor or a lawyer, some type of position along those. Which I don't know how accurate that is and all, but she's like, no, I feel like doing this, and likes fighting, likes protecting people if she can, kind of a thing, which that could be true. I don't know. When she lost to what's her face, I don't know any of the actual MMA people's things. Yeah, she, I don't know, just drifted right into Hollywood pretty much, and it was like a good flow. She was down and then felt good trying to get into it. So as far as the interview thing goes, yeah, it was a little enlightening on some of her perspectives. But I think people that are like making fun of her, I guess they're like, oh, she's crying about being bullied. I feel like she was, in the context of the interview, she was just talking about how, I don't know how else you describe it, when you say something or like people wanted her to have you remember the whole trans things that was going on with her bio, and she was like, she's like, her point is with the beep bop boop thingy was like, yeah, I could put whatever I want in my Twitter because it's my Twitter, and that just pissed everyone off. And then she said like her publicists or her PR people or whatever you want to call them were saying that she needs to do a super apology or something and like talk with the trans community and all this stuff. And she's like, what the hell? Like, and she did do some of it, but she's like, I don't know about apologizing, because that's, one, she's not sorry for it because she isn't doing anything wrong and not trying to cause any harm to anybody. And I don't know, she was like, this is pretty ridiculous. She's seen people get, that apologize and that are put in all these spots just treated horribly forever afterwards. So why not just stick to your guns with what you actually think? And she's like, I can do it. It's my Twitter. What is this? So,
yeah, it listening to her, it was like, Jesus Christ, like she's getting mobbed and like they're trying to get on a Zoom call with like 40 people all like against her, and like, yeah, she's a fighter and stuff, so everyone wants to go like the strong woman crap, but like she's a woman, women are emotional, and you're like fucking mobbing her, like that makes you defensive and emotional, and just with all like their narrative, the SJW narrative of like strong women and believe women stuff, it's like believe them until they speak out of turn, then like mob them, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, like
the people that are against her will be like, huh, bullied, you're not bullied, you said all these horrible things, you deserve whatever's coming to you and all this stuff. And it's like, well, I don't know how they define terms, but it kind of sounds like, yeah, she's getting, not physically bullied, but definitely like mentally bullied or morally bullied or whatever you want to call it, where they're trying to trip her into being in horrible spots where there's all these people, again, like you said, that disagree with her and want to just pounce on her about all this stuff that she works with or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that's not probably a fun position to be in.
It's like a lion getting swarmed by a bunch of hyenas.
Yeah, that's when I was kind of thinking of an analogy here. It's like, picture yourself in a room surrounded by a whole bunch of people that think the opposite of you and that are trying to get you to do something that you don't want to do. Like, believe in God and guess you must believe in God or we'll kill you.
Yeah.
Believe in God or you will die.
It's really weird.
Whoa.
It's really weird how they turn, because like they're all against like, oh, Pence. Trump wins Pence. He's all about like electric shock therapy on the gays funded by the state and this and that. It's just like, yeah, that's not right. And then like they're essentially trying to like make her like a re-education program through Disney to like, you must love trans and be an ally and state your virtue signal via public forum and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like,
Imagine if all the people were like, the dress is gold and white, to all the black and blue people who think who think that you're surrounded by it, say that it's this color, you son of a bitch, and they just hound you on it. And it's like, I don't know what you call it if it's not bullying, but at least the intention seems to be to get them to do something they don't want to do.
Yeah,
and that's kind of weird, and they act like it's so normal to, well, the bitch stepped out of line, like
it's like that Alita weirdo. I made my Alita video, and then like he found it, and then he like messaged me. He's like, "Oh, we've converted Captain Marvel fans to the Alita army." It's like, this is creepy as fuck, dude. Like,
once you step into our Zoom call of 40 people, Angus, and we will make you come out thinking our way now.
Remember the NERD video where he clipped Sith Cortonian's stream, where it's like, prostrate yourself on the altar of SJWism, and
right.
Oh my god, yeah. So no, that's why it's so weird for me, because I like the general fervor about this like issue. I'm totally in agreement, but like this like kind of simpage around it and stuff, and like propping this woman up like she's like Joan of Arc or Mother Teresa or something. It's like, she's been in Hollywood for like, I think they said she started like 09 or 12 when she first like started getting in Hollywood. And it's like, that makes me feel like, that makes me think of like Weinstein and shit, where it's like, what was she complicit in like just culture and stuff, like, being quiet, whether she's involved with like Weinstein Company or not, I don't know, but that's like a big Hollywood figure that's been ousted and we know there's probably a lot more like that in the shadows, goings on the casting couch kind of system and all that.
Yeah, well, no, it almost seems like there's obviously so much, like the carpet where everything's stuffed under is almost it's just stuff in the room now, because there's not enough room to put things under the carpet in Hollywood. I would assume it just seems like it's obvious that's what it is. People are just like, no, we just won't let people know about this, so this can happen and this can happen, and it's just shove it under the carpet as well. That's just the guilt room. Or something. We just.
But at the same time, it's like you see articles of Hollywood Reporter running with like essentially kind of demonizing her because her family owns, I guess, like the biggest American or worldwide like casino system. They like are part of the merger like Caesar and something else. And
wait, what? I didn't hear about this. What?
Yeah. Look it up. Hollywood Reporter, Gina Carano Casino. Look that up, and we'll read through it.
And you said something about Caesar. She's. Let's say if this rounds back to Sword and Sandals, somehow excellent through line.
Yeah. No, look it up. Look up Hollywood Reporter Gina Carano.
Oh, okay.
And it should come up like some casino article.
Hollywood Reporter.
The Reporter.
And Johnny Depp comes up first. Gina second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gross.
The Mandalorian. When was this posted? February 10th?
No, it's got to be newer.
Okay, because that's the first one that comes up 2 days ago.
I think so. Yeah,
22 hours ago. Hold on, Britney Spears. That's okay. Yeah, 2 days ago. Okay, Gina's family is deeply rooted in Nevada casinos with a $725 million value stake. Jesus Christ. I can see why. No, just kidding. I was going to say the simpage makes sense.
But no, well, that's what. See, this is where he gets into the Machiavellian aspect. I was talking about with Caesar, the in Rome, the show, and Gina Carano utilizing this. Like my view, despite my agreement about like all this cancel culture stuff, and everything, is like. I think some of this is self-serving, this like martyrdom that she's going through. I think some of it is brought onto herself. Like she's chosen this, and I think she's utilizing it to her own value. And then when you see, this is like a kind of a subtle smear piece of like a rich white woman says anti-Semitic things and is fired, and now we learn about her casino ties with her family.
Right. Which
but at the same time, it's like. money, and now she's getting to deal with Shapiro and Daily Wire.
One, I was gonna say, are they saying that it's bad that she is rooted with casinos, or is that good? Because I don't. If you were to tell me, I have no idea if that's supposed to be a good or bad thing from whatever perspectives.
It seems like it's just kind of like a history or something about like her acting and the casino ties and stuff, but it feels like it's part of like this whole smear campaign on her.
Because I was gonna say, it doesn't sound very smeary. It sounds like an enforcing thing, to be honest. Like, she's very wealthy family, rich ties to casinos, so Native American love, something like that. It's like, okay. The actress who was recently booted from The Mandalorian comes from a powerful clan that owns El Dorado Resorts and recently acquired Caesars Entertainment. I don't know whose voice I'm supposed to be with that, but It also says Gina Carano hugged her father after an MMA fight in 2008. It's just describing the picture, but it just sounds funny out of context. With that, I've only just begun using my voice, which is now freer. Oh, I thought I said fleer. I was like, what? Freer than ever before. Oh yeah, this is from the interview, I think. Wait, was it? And I've heard this. I feel like I've heard these things around so much. I don't know where it's from anymore. But yeah, so
that was after the Shapiro announcement. I think she tweeted something like that.
Right. Well, she's 38. Oh, I thought I would have actually guessed she's younger than that, but 38 fits. Is she a parent or no?
I don't know. I don't really care.
She could be a mom. I don't know. It's just random facting. Do you want me to read stuff?
Like if you want, I don't know, but it's not too long. But
I don't know if I really care enough with that. Roxanne gay partners with masterclass. I don't know what this is. It's just extra stuff. I was like, what does this have to do with Gina Carano? It's just the ads for the next articles.
Yeah, this is where I kind of get this Machiavellian view of Carano, where it's like whatever good stuff comes for like our kind of fandomist perspective with this cancel culture stuff, and the hypocrisy of Lucasfilm with like siding with like the High Republic chicks with their anti-white racism. Versus she makes a vague tweet about not even about the Jews, but she was using the Jews in their plight in Nazi Germany as an example of like history sanitized, and we just kind of run with this image of like the Nazis took power and then they just magically started rounding up the Jews and the Slavs and stuff and the Gypsies. And it's like, no, this was a progressive, like her whole point was like the state and media, they all kind of work together to make this like slant against an identity from your neighbors. Like children would come up and like beat the Jews and stuff in the streets and everything, and it's like you've had Antifa and BLM like murder people because they wore a MAGA hat in the wrong town. Like it's not a ridiculous comparison when like you get the context what she's saying. And at the same time, Pedro Pascal uses a meme of kids in cages, quote unquote, talking about Germany in the 40s with the Jews and then America with kids in cages, when it's actually a picture of a food pantry or some shit of Palestinian kids getting like soup to take home in a bucket, like
yeah.
And so that should be quote unquote anti-Semitic because it's diminishing the plight of the Jews. I got my own annoyance with the special racism word versus just racism for everyone else, but it gets so sticky.
It's all gooey. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, like I'm kind of in the middle, like Matt Jarbo's like I value watching or listening or seeing his tweets about his perspective because it's like something different, it's something to kind of like at least compare notes with your own view or your own kind of echo chamber that you're in and be like, okay, like what's the contrast, like where's his value if there is or not. As an example, one person he was of the mind was like, well, she's dug her own grave, but like I wish she was still hired back or something, or this didn't happen. So like, I can see that. My whole stance with this was, there's a freedom of speech aspect, and there's like a private company you sign a contract with can enforce stricter guidelines. Like the NFL, you got to like the charities they do. It's, people get Walter Payton Man of the Year for their charitable works and stuff, but like the charity work the NFL does is already kind of mandated in your contract. You got to do so much community work in your community of your locality for your city and the city you play for. So when you see an NFL player giving out food or something or clothes or something, or helping build a basketball court or whatever, or doing outreach, training kids play 60 or anything, like that's kind of enforced, but these guys go the extra mile and they get, recognition. But at the same time, like you got to worry about your PR and stuff because you have stricter guidelines than just American law. You have like kind of NFL law or NBA or whatever company. And so I can agree with that aspect too, of like, well, she's doing these infractions with Disney. And so she's dug her own grave. At the end of the day, my stance is like, this is bad. This is reverse McCarthyism. So many like quote unquote commies or leftists in Hollywood in the 50s and 60s were silenced and thrown to the corner, maybe out of work, and had to like give up their passion because they were wrong politically. Trumbo is a really good movie about that. Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad played the character who's like a hard left commie. So he had to ghostwrite. He had to like ghostwrite his works. Like someone else had to take the Oscar as credit for his work for him to like get in Hollywood. Shadows, and it's like this is the same thing with Carano now. Like I don't want this. This is bad for art. Like so someone's got a voice. Like my example is Nightcrawler. Jake Gyllenhaal. Nightcrawler is a anti-capitalist movie, but it's like so. I wouldn't say thorough, but like it's so poignant in its like delivery of this ideal that like it's a great movie. Despite politically, I hate it. Like
right.
And so like I don't want that guy canceled for that perspective. He's challenging me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're to ask, like, in what way would you want somebody to be canceled? Would be a question.
Yeah, I mean,
like that, like in that, and I think the phrasing would be different by then. It'd be like, well, they'd be fired, not canceled. I mean, I'd say losing like if she was simply fired, that's different than being canceled because she's also being smeared by the Twitter mobs and campaigns, or she said racist bigot thing, all that. Like that's part of the canceling, is the the fake narrative around her, and then also she got fired in the midst of it, and it's like that's where the issue comes in, I'd say. If Disney felt like, well, I mean, fuck it, you keep on talking and we don't like that, so yeah, we're gonna fire you. It's like, well, that's dumb, but I guess you have the right to do that, I suppose. But then it's the other, she's a racist bigot, transphobe, blah 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 blah, all that shit, and it's like that's what gets annoying.
Yeah, she's getting taken behind the woodshed for
to be put. That's very well put.
For the wrong thoughts, and it's like, at the end of the day, like everyone in Hollywood is like so aloof and unaware of like real life, even if they're from real life. Once they get in, like they, it's just how it works. You get fame and stuff, and you kind of forget where you come from, and so like everyone, whether they agree with me politically or not in Hollywood, which most of them don't, like none of them actually know the strife anymore. Generally speaking, so it's like they're all vapid, and their opinion doesn't matter. Like comic tropes. Everyone's trying to cancel comic tropes because he essentially led the charge against Punisher because that one guy with the zip ties and a picture at the riot in the Capitol had a Punisher logo, which is a militaristic police associated symbol now with like being in the fold. You see a lot of Punisher stuff. And so he's trying to like cancel it or have Marvel like really take a hard stance or something, and led the charge these SJWs trying to cancel Punisher or retire it or whatever because of the politics. And at the end of the day, it's like I hate comic tropes politics and the crap he says, but like I don't sub to him for politics. I sub to him for comic stuff, and he does a damn good job with his channel. And so it's like I have that kind of division in my head where I can separate. That's how I feel about Hollywood. I would have assumed Gina Carano was a libtard because she's in Hollywood. I just go with that, and I'm content. I expect your politics to be one thing, but are you acting good or not? You know, James Gunn is a, you know, leftist shill, but he makes good stuff. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy, super. I don't have a lot of hope for Suicide Squad because I think the concept's stupid, but you know, maybe that'll be a good hit. There's something else he did, I think, but like, yeah, he's entertaining with his work, so I don't care about his politics, barring something like Criminal, you know. Then it's like, okay. Same with Gary Glitter. Gary Glitter is, you know, been found to be a pedophile, or at least a participant in the digesting of products from that. But his music is great, you know. So I separate that, even extreme shit, and people can't anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Chris Evans, I assumed, was a great example for like the people in our neck of the woods over here. He says a lot of dumb shit, but it's like whatever. You know, Mark Hamill as well, Luke Skywalker. I guess, you know, I don't know if that affects the old Luke Skywalker, but
yeah, exactly. Those are other great examples. It's like Captain America is a symbol of like America. You know, he's part of the iconography like Superman, but the actor does not, you know, reflect that at all with his rhetoric. But like, I don't care because I pay money to see his movies, not his political ramblings.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, like, higher public chicks, they're racism. It's like, okay, but like, what are they doing with Lucasfilm products? You know, but then you get into the kind of nuance of like, is their politics harming the product that should be for everyone? And that's the justifiable nuance right here, to be argued. And so, I haven't seen enough to say left or right about it.
Pretty much. I mean, man, I don't know. I wish that I still don't understand how Twitter can be where you can get fired essentially because you said a few things or you shared a post about something with it. I mean, I guess if you had a bunch of schlongs over like your building of work in a photo, they'd be like, hey, that's dismantling the look of our building or something. Take that down or something. Okay, I can kind of get that a little bit, but
yeah, shit posting, sure.
Yeah, but I don't know.
And even then, I mean,
it's kind of like, why don't you have the right to do that, though? I mean, like if I were to ask you at the end of the day, what's the worst that comes out of that?
Well,
like go ahead.
Oh, the other aspect that no one's really saying is like the value of her to the Mandalorian. It's clearly not that much.
Yeah, how many episodes was she in?
Well, my whole thing is like, okay, Pedro says, you know, leftist radical stuff that's like cool with the narrative right now. But at the end of the day, if he did Carano stuff, he would be safe because he's the face of the Mandalorian that is just, especially with episode 8, blew everyone away. Everyone's just like ecstatic and want to see more and more and more content with Disney Plus Star Wars. So like, he's not going to be touched unless he did something really ridiculous, you know, to get canned. But he could go full the other way like Carano, and he'd be safe. So it's like the bad PR she's giving Disney with the Twitter mob is like, it's more consequential, at least in their view, than her stardom in the show and her value as a character. So that's the other aspect of this. You see in the NFL, you get like, especially receivers and cornerbacks, they're divas. They're like, give me the ball, you know, especially the receivers. Terrell Owens is a great example in Philly. I'm a Philly fan. The coaches and the management put up with someone like him because the value he added to the team overall. It's like, yeah, T.O.'s crazy, but he catches, 100 yards a game.
Yeah, that boy can catch a ball. That's for sure.
He suits the overall mission, and it's like Carano's expendable. That's the other angle that no one's really talking about and giving credence to in this firing. Is like the PR she's giving isn't worth what she has to the Mandalorian. She's an expendable character. If season 2 they just like, oh, she died. Like, okay, no one's right. Like, oh my god,
right? Like if what's a good example here? Like if I don't know, from Iron Man, the guy who played one of the terrorist guys that was against him was like, hey, saying some stupid shit online. I don't think they give a shit. Like it wouldn't affect them enough. to do it, but they could also let him go, and it's like, well, whatever, you know, if we don't feel like dealing with whatever would come out of it, we can just
Well,
let you
you've
go.
seen it. You've seen it in Philly with Deshaun Jackson. He the BLM stuff has crossed over some of these black stars into like anti-Semitism and this kind of like black Islamic view of Jews, which is anti-Semitic. You know, Farrakhan said, "I'm not anti-Semite, I'm anti-termite," and and he's you know, some of his rhetoric in that kind of hate view has been espoused by these players, and they've been
it's players.
they've been silenced, or
Yeah.
like Deshaun Jackson, he just got cut now, or he's getting cut from Philly. You know, he's expendable and he's old. You know, so it's like, what value does he add to the team that we could get better if we replace him? You know, but if it was like Tom Brady, then it's like, they'd really work around trying to just like quell the mob to keep him on the team because of the value he has, you know. So that's the other argument you can have. And at the end of the day, I stand with like, you know, the art thing and just like let people make art if that's like their job, despite the crazy shit they say. But you know, it's also like a money thing, it's a business thing, and PR, and what is our initiative with our narratives. And so it's like it's not so black and white. The cancel stuff is black and white to me, I think, to most of us on this side, but I can see some of those aspects, at least arguably.
Yeah, a little bit. I guess. I mean, also think about it like this too. So, like, if you were a boss of a whatever type of company and you had an employee that was shitposting a little bit, I mean, would you be worried about it, or what type of things would you do? I suppose.
I don't know if I
That's
saw
that's one thing I'd kind of want. I'd want people to ask themselves, like, you know, and especially, you know, the actual businesses, because it's such, to me, again, it's so fucking stupid. It's like speak freely, folks, but if you like post a picture of somebody taking a shit, that's a little, we can't have that. You're fired or something, like, or you said something and we took it as something you didn't say, and then we fired you for it because it's how we interpreted it. Like, I don't know.
Okay, so 1 week ago, so this is right after the Carano news and the cancel Disney Plus trended. Disney Plus announced they have 94, essentially 95 million subs, beating its 4-year goal in 14 months. Okay, so cancel Disney Plus, that was a flex, them releasing those numbers so early, given their what they're, you know, trying to compete with Netflix and HBO Max and Amazon.
Okay.
That was a flex of like, oh, cancel Disney Plus, like, not bothering us, dude.
Okay, you have 1,000 left. That's all right. We got 1 million more. So,
Yeah. Let me get my calculator really quick.
the calculator. The calculator.
I'll have to add zeros because it doesn't go that high, but 95 times 7. So every month, Disney Plus, with these numbers before taxes and whatever, they make $760 million, give or take. That's not including whether those are like the package deals or Hulu Plus, and, you know, with Hulu Plus and ESPN on top of it, which would be 12 something. Plus the price is going to be going up. So you got 95 million people paying essentially $1 billion a month for your subscription.
Damn.
So when you have a few hundred, if you have a few thousand or so, say cancel Disney Plus and get it trending, it's like, is that really making a dent? That's why it's funny. All this time I've been saying boycott. If like you feel this way about the product, boycott. You know, and the bus boycott in the 50s is a great example. And you can spin it like that's totally different. That was a socio-economic political thing because of racism. And it's like at the end of the day, it was a company is not suiting the customer, and so the customer withholds their money until they bend or decide you're not worth being a customer. And eventually the buses, because so many black people relied on public transport, they bent the knee to black people, you know, in the civil rights fight. So like, despite the monumentousness of the argument why they're boycotting, at the end of the day, it was a boycott that worked, you know, because people shut their wallet.
What about the girl cots? What about those, huh?
The people cots. But yeah, like that was my whole thing. People said I was ridiculous and stuff, and now girl gets canceled. Now you say boycott. And Disney shows you like, okay, it's a drop in the bucket, dude. Doesn't matter. We don't need you. There's so many soccer moms with kids that are babysitting or whatever that they're pacifying their kids with a Disney catalog. It's not going to make a dent. Like even people that might feel this way about it, they're like, well, I mean, I got to shut my kids up, so like I'm not canceling Disney.
Right. I need something to put on for them.
Yeah. So I mean, valiant effort, but it's null and void.
Indeed.
Could be a start. But
Yeah, I mean, it could be a snowball.
But I think clearly it's not going to be, especially with the catalog Disney has, so iconic for film, especially with children. But yeah, so let's segue. You're talking about Red Pill, which I'm very fascinated about. I'm always sharing stuff with you and talking and getting your perspective on things I'm learning and whatnot to kind of build the praxology and go out life. The thing with when I talk about Red Pill people is like it's so eye-opening when you get into like the sexual dynamics, of dating and relationships, because when you start understanding the way men and women think, and not like the directives we go on from society, but just biologically, and then build off from that how we do that in our abstract societies. And you look at history, you look at politics, you look at pop culture, like it all starts making sense. Communism versus capitalism is male versus female. It's crazy. And and so it's very vital to like this should be like life 101 type of learning, because it doesn't matter like your religion or any of the stuff, like it's very hardwired into us, these lessons you learn from Red Pill praxology. So I'm very interested, Ricky, what have you been digging into? What were some of the things you pulled away, or some of the things you just want to talk about it?
Let me double check the guy. I checked out the guy that you linked me to.
I want you to do a bunch.
The one where that lady or whatever was, where he pointed out how her value is horrible or something.
Kevin Samuel. Okay.
The guy is in the car. Yeah.
He's in his car. Okay. So
the guy streams every now and then. Fucking what the hell's his name? Let me see. Because there's a couple that would come up that I would click on too, and I'm trying to get the guy's actual name here. But I looked at a couple of them, and like one of his reactions to Tommy something, some chick. I forget.
Tommy Lauren? Yeah,
Tommy Lauren. Yeah, and she was like, boys need to stop being boyish and whatever. So they need to be men because I need them to be consistent for me. And stuff like that.
I watched Rollo, and I've watched Kevin Samuels talk about that video and break it down. It's pretty funny.
There's entrepreneurs in cars.
He's probably the most just like straightforward in his content and life lessons. And I'm reading his book. I'm almost done with it. It's really good stuff. Just kind of reinforcing in a little more depth to what I've already seen in his content. But yeah, Rollo's kind of the epicenter of the modern manosphere, the Red Pill community. Kevin Samuels, I found him through Donovan, and like it's funny because like Rollo's kind of the epicenter, and so like I found these other guys through Rollo and his streams. And Entrepreneur in Cars is very straightforward and not like he's provocative, I guess, in the words he says, but he's not like flashy. He just puts it out there. Rollo's very academic in how he goes about it, and it's kind of like a college lecture. Kevin Samuels was interesting because he's like black exclusive. He's worried about like the top 10, 20% black men and helping, but he's always having women on his show and letting them kind of use their own words against him.
No.
It's funny. Like even people are like, women will get on like, man, I'm really, he'll be like, why are you mad, ladies, about like whatever topic? And he'll like take calls. And someone calls in, it's like, I'm mad because I didn't hear this stuff sooner. But then he talks to her and it's like, she's still got all these like ridiculous woman ideas about her value in the market and stuff. and it's funny shit because he kind of, bitch slaps her with knowledge, despite her like initial agreement about his philosophy he's delineating on his channel.
Well, it is kind of funny to hear it just said out loud. It's like seen as like what the fuck, type of a thing. I just watched a video where he was like talking about how girls that are flaky should be punished. It's like one of his friends posted that in like a Twitter thread or Instagram or something, and all the mobs came in and were like, "Oh, you horrible!" Wah. He's like, the wording could have been different, but same thing. And I was like, yeah, that kind of, in a way, it kind of makes sense with it, like how a guy is trying to invest some time in, and then it's like, oh, there's some type of an excuse last minute. Oh, can we reschedule? And it's like, well, I can get that there's reasons why they could reschedule, but then again, is it that you want to reschedule for those reasons really, or that you don't want to spend that much time around me? And then he said one of the responses was like to the girl that wanted to reschedule, he was like, okay, so how about you make it up for me, I like steak or something. And the girl was pissed that he suggested that she treat him or whatever. And she's like, I was being super polite by giving you a huge heads up and notice about it and whatever. And it's just like, I don't know. I can kind of see his point with it because, man, you're trying to have your time and set things up and whatever. And if they're just like, oh, no, I'm going to schedule our time and then I'm going to change it. I don't know. I can understand how things could come up, but I don't know if you're trying to date. I don't know about that.
All right. So what else have you watched?
I don't know. Yeah. The Tommy one was pretty funny. Because I think she's like a 28-year-old girl, and she's like talking about how she wants consistent guys that take her on consistent dates or something, none of this other stupid shit. And as he's commenting the whole time, he's like, yeah, because you've already done that a whole bunch in your 20s, and now you're in the epiphany phase, and you want to go and marry up now or something. And I'm like, this stuff's kind of funny. This stuff's pretty fucking funny to see.
It's funny because it's like you see. They don't say it, and they're not like it's not clicking in their head. Their actions are showing like this subconscious kind of biological clock ticking dread of like, I gotta get shit right now. It's the come to Jesus moment that women in this Western society have. They because women are told, even when they're girls, like, oh, you can just party up and sleep around and have your fun, then find a good guy that like puts a roof over your head, makes more money than you, so you can stay at home with your kids and blah 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 and stuff. So it's funny, this whole strong women bullshit and career stuff. They still, at the end of the day, rely on men in their dreams to like take care of them, despite being, I'm a strong independent woman, I got a career.
Or if they get this super high career, do they expect to find a man that has an even higher career? Like, I don't know. Sometimes you're really limiting. They're limiting themselves and every person they could date. So that sounds like
because
it's like, wow, there's this whole market, and then you narrow it down to like 10 people that you'll never work with, and I don't understand it. You'll settle with whomever for now, trying to move on to the next one, and it's just decreasing your value every time you try. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, like feminism makes women miserable because it gives them this masculine ideal to thrive for that is self-destructive given biology. Like, we're not equal. Women in their sexual and relationship intrinsic drive, they have a window from like 15 to say 40. And 40 is being generous because what guy wants a 40-year-old woman, even if he's like 80, like if he's 80, maybe that's a catch. But generally, like Rolo talks about this a lot, across the board, across society and time and, history and whatnot, demographics, men, no matter how old they are, they pretty much always say, I want like a 22-year-old. They want like big boobs, tight ass, and fertility. Given age.
At age 10 we'll think that, at age 100 we'll think that.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you got fetishes and whatnot, and you got like a wide spectrum of like looks, but generally it's still like all these signs that show fertility and youth, because like that's the value of women is their youth and fertility. There's this whole directive that tries to reprogram us to say, oh no, there's this value and connection, and no, like arranged marriages in the East work. Like this whole like, oh, you need to love someone, like that's bullshit. There's more to relationship than love, because you can love someone who's destructive as fuck for you. But I mean, there's plenty of women. Like I saw some post where as like a woman like in the age or something, like took flying lessons and then rented a chopper and grabbed her husband from the prison rooftop. And he's saying like, you can't fake genuine desire. And so like this whole like, you need to fit into my plans and this and that and be consistent. It's like that, no matter what they're saying, when it's like the hot Chad that they're wet for, they'll move heaven and earth to fit his schedule. So this whole like, do my plans, this is rules for a beta. This is rules for a boyfriend material guy, which is like, I'll put you in check because you don't really have top tier value to me.
Yeah, that's something I never really looked at before. That was interesting to see pointed out. The women will be talking very highly about whatever the standards are, with the list being a mile long for what they require. But then, for the top 10 Chad guy, it's like, oh, I will do anything to be free to see you anytime. I'll skip my dinner date with my husband to go hang out with Chad. It's like, oh. Interesting.
There was a funny one that it supposedly, because I looked into these back and forth. There's like a woman posting their L's screenshot, and supposedly looking into the accounts, it was like made up, but it reflects a reality. Some woman said like, I drove 8 hours to this guy's house and I got him the beer and like snacks he wanted, and I show up at his door and he's like, oh, you were serious? She's like, I was never so embarrassed in my life. And it's like, even if it was fake, like that's a real thing. Women, if they really like you, they will fucking they'll do anything. They'll fit
their busy schedule will suddenly be pretty open.
So like that same scenario, it's like, okay, well, treat me for like the makeup date. And she's like, oh my God. But like Donovan Sharp, he talked about one of his experiences where it's like, it was like all hot monkey sex and stuff at first, and then she like pulls some shit, so then he puts her ass in check and kind of ignores her for a week or two, and she's like, oh, come back, Ivan, this and that. And so she's like in a skimpy outfit, she's got a steak ready for him and all this stuff. So it's like, they say one thing, but like, you put this stuff is like good for men to digest, because it's like you start learning these tests of like, oh, we're told to like chase women and stuff. It's like, no. If you have value to them, like they'll chase you. And they'll try to get you because they see like some value, whether it's like your looks to have a kid or your wealth and stability and whatnot, whatever it is that's like the big draw for them. If they're really into you, you can test them. These are good ways to kind of like see where you're at with a girl and where you need to like rise up if you can, or like to understand your situation.
Yeah, it's like pretty much ignore whatever your mom might tell you about how to hit on chicks, or how to find love with women or something, and take in some of the red pill stuff, because that sounds more like it.
Yeah, what's funny though is like it's understandable, but like the black pill, the hard MGTOW people, where it's like there's no reason to date, like women will just cheat on you and this and that, and it's like, no, like there's some things that you can't change. You can't change at least for a long time. It take forever to change the family law system that is slanted against men with custody and everything, and divorce and alimony. But like they take the awareness, but then they just are doomers about the reality instead of
it's like
navigating.
It's like studying for a test. You can either know that there is a lot of information to study and go, well, screw it then, it's all fucked, or like study and apply as best you can. And that's kind of, I think that's the difference between what you're saying.
The black pill, the MGTOW, is a bitch move. It is equal and opposite of feminism. It's just giving up. Well, feminism isn't directly giving up, but it makes themselves. It's a directive that makes women unattractive, and then they tell themselves, "Well, like I don't need a man. I'm beautiful just how I am with all my imperfections. I'm gorgeous and I'm great and blah blah blah."
And she
And
says that she's pining for the guy at the finish line. Sure, right.
exactly. Yeah, essentially, never listen to any woman about dating advice because they'll unknowingly, even if
Well,
good intent,
they usually say, "Oh, be very kind, loyal. Give a lot of compliments, talk to them a lot, or something." And it's like, I mean, but I watch the red pill things. It sounds like it's the opposite. It's like, oh,
yeah,
these things. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of how I used to kind of be. I'd be, trying to talk simply, or I'd be trying to say, just certain things in those ways, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't really get me anywhere. Doesn't get me anywhere fast,
hey, what's up, Stony McKenna douche?
Stony bro, what's up, broski?
Yeah, no, that's one of the things that the Ripple talks about is like, before essentially feminism, modern feminism, and the pill, where women got like all the control, and then like family law on top of it. There used to be this exchange where a beta could like get really good catch in life because there was this exchange of like, all right, like I'm gonna work hard. You're gonna like we're gonna settle for each other, however the dynamic is. We settle and compromise, and we stake a claim in life together and have a family. But now, it's totally just slanted to one side's benefit, and so the only real check men have nowadays in the West is to leave, to be so valuable that like taking my kids, taking my money, none of it matters. I'm so valuable that like I might have to like cut back and be destitute for all, but like I'll come out ahead still. You're at the end of the day going to be stuck with my kids and the lack of valuable men to date that aren't going to be interested in you because they can get better with no baggage or little baggage.
Yeah, and their SMV right goes down with that as well.
Yeah, no, it's really funny. Like, people get so triggered by, it's funny is like, yeah, sure, women will get triggered because like their game plan is indignation, emotionality. That's their instinctual responses, emotion. Men, we might have emotional response initially, but like at the end of the day, we're logical. We think rationally. We think A to B. How do I finish? How do I solve a problem?
Yeah, we'll put our feelings aside once we can see a little better and go, okay, so now let's focus.
Yeah, it was funny. Like, I think Pokimane or whatever that chick is, I think it was her on a stream. She was saying something like, if a man is looking at other women, like he's cheating. But like if a woman, is doing this, and it's like something's not being fulfilled in the relationship. And so like, it's okay if she, it's just this whole like woman excuse bullshit for like the same problem, where it's like two different sets of rules.
Yeah, well, and it's like I hate it too. I liked how I was listening to one of their discussions of the whole, happy wife, happy life, and it's like,
No.
I don't know, it seems kind of ridiculous. And then like, with the like on a date in general, the exchange of like, okay, so it's usually the men that are paying for it, usually, even when women want to be equal or whatever. Like they don't offer to pay or split or anything. It's like, so y'all, this could go bad or good or whatever, but the guy is paying for it each time.
Yeah, no,
it's
it's
like
funny.
they don't care, and they think that is good, and it's like I don't understand how that's a good value here, bitch. Like fucking, you got a few bucks. You probably should, because you don't pay for no dates. You should have something.
Yeah, it's funny. The Kevin Samuels, the guy who focuses on black community, well, whatever his politics are, I find him like so great because he's such a counter to like the BLM shit. And this is the thing, when I talk about politics and red pill, is that it clarifies everything. All right, so black people, especially given the political pandering of the left with them and BLM and stuff, and what people don't talk about, Indians, like Native Americans. I'm from Oklahoma, so I see like some friends on Facebook posts this like Indian government and like, oh boo-hoo, someone wore an Indian suit for Halloween, they're racist, all this crap, crying, cultural appropriation, all this crap. It's like it makes sense now because these two demographics, Indians, Even though they've got casinos and reservations, they got land given to them by the government to preserve their culture or heritage, whatever. At the end of the day, they have no balls. And what I mean by that is that with slaves, you're enslaved, and with like war on drugs and all this crap, you've had the demographic targeted and the males put in prison on a large scale. 50% of prisons are black. All right. And with Indians, you had the warriors in the Indian Wars killed. So you have no men. So you have reservations filled with women and children and old people. So the heritage is dead. For all intents and purposes. Sure, you might preserve something through history, or but like culture's dead. There's no like real Indian heritage anymore because the warriors are gone, and with black community, you have this whole like welfare system from Johnson incentivizing broken families. Like, oh, you're poverty, well, you can get a house, but you can't be married. There can't be a guy in the house. And that's for a reason. Like,
Yeah.
It's you destroy the family unit, you destroy the culture, you destroy stability. And you see so many black men raised by single moms who think they're too good for the average black Joe who's making, $50K, good guy. That's why black guys go for white girls, because like black women have this like entitlement horribly more than just the normal woman. And so the black family is destroyed. Kevin Samuels, whatever his politics are, he sees subconsciously, at least he sees the family as the huge problem in the black community. And that's what he's working on, is putting women in check and trying to like build men up and for them to not fall and to be accountable too. That's the other thing. Men are the authority. I'll sound very biblical. I'm not a Christian, I'm an atheist, but I see the value of Christendom in the family ideal is that like men are the authority. It's biological. You can look at anthropology, look at the apes, gorillas, chimps, bonobos. Bonobos are sort of matriarchal, but it still fits. Orangutans. Their systems work patriarchally. So it's really weird when the left is all about evolution, but then they ignore the science when it applies to like sexual demographics.
Wait, the left's all about evolution. So let's fucking win.
Oh, against creation, but then at the same time they ignore it because like clearly we've developed.
I didn't know evolution. I didn't know evolution was on any side technically.
Well, like the right is historically religious and against evolution because it goes against the creation narrative, but then the left pushes that in the education system, but then they ignore it with like trans shit, with feminism, because trans, it goes in this like it used to be like we just want to be the sex we think we should have been born as, and it's like, okay, there's some neurological science that kind of validates that point. It's still fuzzy and in its infancy, but there's some science, there's some twin studies with gays and whatnot. It validates this perspective, but now it's become like we're a third sex and there's all these genders, and no, we reproduce male and female. Like there's a spectrum of like display masculinity and femininity. You have people like Bowie and Prince that show that as like recent icons of like kind of sexual fluidity, but it's male and female. It's how our species works. There's no third sex. There's no like clownfish are all males and then one turns into a female. There's none of that. And so that's where the left is anti-science, is in sexual demographic stuff. That's really funny because like you look at our counterparts, the apes that we're related to, and they're all patriarchal. The chimps, they make like a brotherhood with like fellow brothers and friends. The women leave to other tribes of chimps, troops or whatever. It's like you come and go on the male's decision, but then the patriarchy is a social construct. It's bullshit. Like,
well, and you see in like commercials and TV shows and movies all the time, the dad's always like, "Oh, he's the dumb oaf, dopey doll," and the wife's always like, "I'm the smart one. He runs everything, really." And it's like, why is that being pushed? Really, kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun in the 50s because it was like a joke on the reality, but now it's like
that wouldn't happen. No shit.
It's like okay, make me a fucking sandwich. Like,
oh look, dad doesn't know how to plumb. What a fucking idiot. And then the wife's just like folding laundry, and like, oh, he doesn't know how to fold laundry. It's like, that's fucking your job. What are you doing?
Yeah, no, that just shows like, gender roles. Like that was the compromise of like the family unit. It was like, all right, I make the bread, I'm a protector, to whatever degree in modern society, and you care for the kids in the household. That was the exchange, and now it's like, oh, we're equal. There's no gender, and this it's complicating the reality. It's kind of funny. I got into Red Pill. It wasn't like relationship stuff. It was Comics Explains personal channel, according to Rob, which he's kind of putting on hiatus right now. He just has a passion right now for the topics, but it's been very valuable. The things he's talking about a wide spectrum of political and just social. I don't mean social justice, just like social things, like the Red Pill. He mentioned Rollo Tomasi's book and talked about frame and about like relationships, defining your frame and choosing when it's important. Like, we're going to send our kid to this school. It's like, something like that isn't so hard pressed, but like, my job is making me move this city. So come with me or we're done. Like, that's a frame, and it's like the moving thing is kind of like a hard thing you got to stick to. You can't just like forego a job because the girl's staying in the town and won't move. It's like, well, you got to part ways. It's not worth it. You're going to resent her, or she's going to resent you, or whatever.
Oh man, when my brother and his wife were homeless and living here for a while, man, my dad offered to pay for a house for them in Ohio, and his wife didn't want to leave because her family's here, and they were pretty much homeless living here. Like, are you kidding me? You're fucking kidding me? You're offered a house. It's not next to my family.
Yeah, see, that's another thing that I picked up from these channels is like that family thing. It's like, sure, your family can be involved, whatever. You don't just like cut them out, but like when you get married, that's the new family. That's the precedent.
Yeah, you start your own family, and then you can go and see the tribe sometimes, but you're on your own now.
Yeah, it's leaving the nest, and we've gotten society now where it's like we gotta blend the nest.
Her mom is literally in her nest, and it's weird. It's I feel bad for my brother, but also fuck him because he's a douche. But it's like that's what happens.
You're a douche, brother.
Yeah, but anyway, not getting into that. Storyman Jack had a thingy in the comment section for you about his girlfriend or something.
Yeah, he said, I got my first girlfriend. I struck up a conversation with a coworker in the break room. I half-heartedly asked her to sit on my face. She laughed and asked for my number. Yeah. It's funny. I don't know if I told you or I told someone at work. I think I told you, though. This is funny. So there's this girl who was a cousin to my coworker, which I had the hots for the coworker. But we were all going to go see a movie. We're all off for the weekend. So I was like, woohoo. And she had her cousin, which I guess was actually her trying to hook her up with me because she thought we'd get along, which I had no idea about. But like my perspective, I was like, she's from like Oklahoma City. I'm from a small town, in the sticks pretty much. And she probably, I'm just kind of going off these stereotypes, thinking she's gonna be stuck up and shit. So I dip, and so I got, I had my Yoo-Hoo bottle. I downed that, and then that was gonna be my spitter. So to like make a point, like, fuck you, I don't care what you think of me. I got a big old chaw and, was getting it ready. And she's like, oh, Taylor's Pride. My grandpa chewed that. And so like instantly was just like flabbergasted. And I'm just thinking, I'm not old. So totally just like her no knowledge, like totally, blew up my foundation of like mentally.
That's funny.
Yeah, it ended up working out. We hung out and after the movie and stuff and banged it out in the truck, and it was a good time.
Nice.
But yeah, no, like the brothers thing, that's a frame thing. And it's like, the frame kind of goes along with shit testing. That's another key thing with Red Pill awareness is like, women love drama, and it's kind of like encoded in them. It's not just like out of nowhere. It's like a check as a man to like keep you on your toes. And and so it for whatever revolutionary purpose it has a value to it. It's in there for a reason. And so like a woman should test you like, oh, you can't YouTube or you're doing it too much or whatever. Like you're or like a bike. A bike's a big thing where it's like you got to sell your bike, and a lot of guys will concede that. You concede your hobbies and your interests, and you show lack of value. You show like you're not firm. And so
I'm sorry. What would be a scenario where you'd have to get rid of your bike? I don't understand that.
Because you got kids and it's dangerous or whatever bullshit,
What?
safety or it's money that we need or blah blah blah.
Then save up the money. I don't know. You keep the bike. Why the hell would you sell that shit?
A lot of guys can see, like, with the bike, a lot of guys concede that, and they don't know that that's part of
the bike was expensive. You bought it. You committed to buy it. Keep it.
A lot of guys will have a bike and then they get married and get a family, and so it's like, all right, time to like sell. They think it's like childish or something. They kind of get sold this angle, or it's dangerous, and you got kids, you got responsibility.
What your 4-year-old's gonna jack your motorcycle? Yeah, right.
No. Like, you will get hurt because it's not a safe vehicle. It's a danger.
I don't know.
But no, that is one.
I know. I was just thinking about it when you brought it up. I'm like, I'm trying to think. Well, that's ridiculous. But
yeah, like the whole thing, Red Pill, is like, don't chase women. Let women chase you because you're valuable, and don't concede because you do it once. It's like you give an inch, they take a mile. And then you. This is like the standard trope of like she's attracted to this guy. And then you concede and change and become the family man, and then she cheats on you with the next hot guy because you're not the guy she married.
She wants to have the flare or something, and it's like, oh well, she literally burnt out the flare for you, and now wants to get with somebody else who doesn't have it burned out yet.
That's why you don't listen to what they say. You listen to their actions. Like, why did she get with you?
I think that's why when I see on TV or shows or movies where they have like the husband that's like, oh yes, we're going to the dinner, and oh yes, that the wife and husband are like in sync with everything, all perfect, and he's all like, oh yes, we watch Grey's Anatomy or some shit, and it's like, they're all like that. It's like he has been completely, just formed by the wife by that point. Like his whatevers are not there. And happy wife, happy life. But it's like, no, and she's probably the one that's gonna, oh no, that dude, he's interesting. He's doing other things. The other guy says no to his wife. Ooh, that's even titillating, I bet, for some of them.
Yeah, like for me, I can say from experience, like I remember like talking to people when I worked at Walmart. It's like, oh, you don't watch like chick flicks with your girl, it's like kind of being equal, and she watch your movies, and it's like, nope. And I'm just like, that shit ain't gonna last, and I don't think it did. And you might think like, oh, he's standing firm and he's being red pill. It's like, no, like if you're in a deep relationship, you gotta make concessions in some way of like, like meet in the middle, kind of compromise. So like I always did that, where it's like, all right, I'll watch your stupid chick flicks, but like we're gonna go see The Witch, which is like a very like art house horror film. It's not upper alley, something like that, where it's like, you're coming to do my shit. As very firm, or like, you're not gonna come see my shit. Well, fuck you.
If she complains at all with seeing your stuff next time, she says, "Oh, let's watch this thing," and be like, "No, that's just you made that not the deal anymore. You made that not the deal anymore."
Yeah, so, don't be a douche and just like, oh, we do everything I want and nothing she wants. Like that will kill it too. You gotta like balance it, but
you gotta give her something, of course. But
yeah, you gotta like pay the piper. But at the same instance, like things that are intrinsic to your value, your hobbies, your interests that like keep you going outside of like your 9 to 5 to keep the house over your head, like never concede that shit, because that's a frame, and when you give up frame, she takes control, and then that makes you emasculine in her view subconsciously, even if she's not aware. That's like how they'll act, and that's where you get this trope of like, the guy becomes a family man, and then she cheats with like the next hot guy. That's how it happens.
Yeah, if my girl was like, "Hey, rookie, you can't eat pizza anymore," I feel like, no, that's not happening like that shit. No, that's my thing. Can't take that shit away.
Yeah, like
you don't want to be. I liked too. I think in one of the videos, it wasn't a main topic, but he like saw a picture somebody was posting for a question, and he like had a picture of his man cave on his Instagram, and he's like, the house is the castle. That shit's stupid with the man cave or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that actually that sounds really dumb. It sounds like I am a man and I do everything my wife says, but I'm allowed to have this one space where I can be a man. It's like, oh, that's pathetic.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty pathetic. She'll allow you to have that room in the back or underground where you can pretend to be a man for a bit and then come out and be a bitch the rest of your life. It's like, oh, that's pretty sad, actually.
Yeah, you got to be like, the Christian, the biblical narrative. It's like, the man is the authority. He's the head of household. Like, that is very red pill. And that's the other thing too. Like, I don't know how to do a video because it'll trigger people and stuff. Like, I don't want to like fucking hamstring my channel because of just
to be fair, Angus. I mean, like, what by this point, what could you say that wouldn't trigger somebody? Like, I don't know.
I just want to like hamstring my channel, like nuance, But
you can talk about like, graham crackers. I'm sure somebody will be like, "How dare you, man? You fucking honeybee son of a bitch! You don't understand." You killing bees or something. Like, I don't know.
But no, like that. Getting a red pill and then like seeing the value of the Bible. Like, here's the thing: as an atheist, I digest the Bible and like live by its kind of ideals more as an atheist than I as a Christian, because I actually like see the value. Like, you just kind of go with the flow when you're in it, but when you're outside of it, but you see like pros and cons. It's like you get more value. It's like you use these things to like kind of adapt your morality or your philosophy of life. So with the Bible, it's very red pill, blue pill. Not to say there's not nuance to that with the New Testament, but the Old Testament is red pill as fuck. It's, God as a character in a story. He's very resolute. He's very like hard set and pressed in his ideals for his people. And he punishes them swiftly when they don't stick to the narrative he dictates to them. He punishes them. They're in fucking Egypt for 400 years. And then he sets them free. They do good. He gives them a kingdom. And it's like ebb and flow of, conquest and servitude as a slave nation, back and forth with their servitude to God or their ignorance of him. All right. And he's very clear, like the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. He's very clear to Lot. Like, oh, if there was just 50 good people here, would you spare the city? And then he keeps whittling it down. Like, if there was just 10 good people, would you spare the city? He's like, yes, I would. Get the fuck out of the city. I'm nuking it. And, there's no turning back. It's very clear God's view of the world for man and his specific people, the Hebrews. And then you get to Jesus, an arbitrary time for the Messiah to come out of nowhere. When like, especially if you understand human history, you've had a couple 100,000 years before the Jews and the Hebrews and whatnot. God's supposed people. You have cave dwellers worshiping horses and mammoths and shit. And like, there's no like God's people. It was just poof, this era in history. Oh, and even before the Jews, like there was other, if you don't count like evolutionary history, like 200,000 years of humanity, there's still a couple thousand years before, like the Hindus were there way before the Jews, historically as a religion, so it's kind of funny. You think of these like Mesopotamian cultures that were there before, and the stories that are adapted in the Bible in the Old Testament, like the flood story and everything, creation. There's all these little things that are like written before in other cultures. So even if you don't count like the evolutionary history, there's still just hard set history cataloged with Stone Age and stuff before, where it's like, this is really arbitrary. The Messiah just comes, but regardless, Jesus comes and there's some nuance.
He comes and comes and comes.
There's some nuance with like his view of like the law and stuff that's interesting, because like
it's more like a guideline than rules.
Yeah. That's the thing, is like Jesus is like this hippie. That's why the hippies really love Jesus, despite picking and choosing the Bible and not looking at the context of Jesus is either the Son of God and he's subservient to a higher authority that has done these things in the Old Testament, or he is 1 and 3 and he was also doing Sodom and Gomorrah, and telling Saul to destroy the Amalekites, man, woman, and child. So either way, it's like Jesus is part of this hierarchy, whether he is it or he's subservient. But then he comes and there's like the Pharisees that are just legalistic, and they add more laws to like flaunt their devotion, to look like virtue signaling, essentially. Like, I'm so great. There's like the parable of like the sinner who's like flogging himself vocally to God and saying like, I don't deserve you, versus the Pharisee is like praising himself to God, like, I'm so good because I do all these good things for you and I give money and blah blah blah. God saw favor on the destitute man, and the Pharisee's evil. So there's a lot of nuance with like the stories and like kind of looking in between the lines of the law. But Jesus comes and essentially says like, oh yeah, all these laws that I said, or God said, my Father, it's whatever. Like the Gentiles, yeah, bring them in too. All these weird things where it's like, what was the point of the Old Testament and all these laws you gave to your people when you forsake them and say like, it's whatever. And so it's very blue pill. You see it politically where it's like we have these like values we live by, and now it's like this kind of moral relativism where it's like, whatever, man. Like, oh, all cultures are equal. All cultures are valuable. And it's like, no, they're not.
I don't want to put any work in anything I believe in or think about. I just want to, flow over it like a lazy river. Just float around rather than
so like literarily the Old Testament is way better as just like stories to read, with like the drama of David and Saul. It's very like Caesar, like, with like the political intrigue and the backstabbing, and David becomes king, but then he essentially murders a soldier to steal his wife and stuff. He covets the man's wife and gets him murdered. God curses Israel because of that. Samson and his hair and his strength and his final swell of strength given back by God to take out the enemy. There's a lot of cool stuff in the Old Testament versus the New Testament. There's like these kind of philosophical things from Jesus, but like it's forsaking all these things that come before. And so it's very like blue pill, red pill to me. And it's very interesting now that I'm like in this state where I'm like, like, before, like I said, literally the Old Testament's already better to me. You read the Lord of the Rings and then you read the Old Testament and you see like there's nothing new Tolkien did. It's just
you should do a critique. You should do a critique of the Bible series or some shit. the writing structure in here is very good, and then you look at this one. These ones are very lackluster. They're lazy writers. This one.
Yeah, and like, well, like you look at marriage and relationships. Like God allowed polygamy. Men could have a harem if they were valuable men. They had money. Like that was
men gets the money. He gets the ladies. There you go.
Like Jews, they could divorce in the Old Testament and stuff. But then Jesus comes and he's like, oh yeah, these laws that God allowed. Well, like you're actually committing adultery if you're remarried. And it's like, what? Like, like, what the fuck is this? So like, that's what's funny with the red pill. Like, I've already seen this as like religiously, like this doesn't gel. There's like, these are two different gods. This is a cult of the previous. Or it's just like Islam is a cult of Judaism. They believe in the God of Abraham, but then like everything else in the Old Testament is like, that's the Jews, and Islam ignores it and makes their own thing. And same with Jesus. Like the Old Testament matters for the prophecies and the history and the lineage, but then everything is like, oh, it doesn't matter, we're Gentiles, we can eat pork and do all this stuff. It doesn't matter what we eat.
I want to have the new Burger King special, so need to nix that off the list.
All these like dietary things are part of like the religion code, but then Jesus comes and is like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, like our ethno state, well, whatever, I'm going to hang out with whores and tax collectors and Samaritans, and it's like, what? And I get like there's this whole like love aspect and love your neighbor and stuff, but it's like, it's the same with like this modern cultural philosophy we live by, where it's like, oh, none of these rules mattered, it's all just archaic. But it's like it preserved us for a reason. It worked, even though there's some cruel nuance to it. Overall, it benefited us. But now you're saying you throw it all out the window, and that's kind of the New Testament, and it's very hippie blue pill bullshit to me.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that has something to do with modern society as well. I'd say, like, where the amount of people that want to follow the rules is extremely minimum. Like, like, oh god, I don't want to have to do like all 3 steps, like, because there's a shorter way, like, so whatever rules are established, people want them in less every time. Like, even like, I'm not even kidding, in school, it's like, remember to write your name at the top and the date. Oh, that's like more work. It's like, fucking really? Like, oh, but it's more writing down stuff. Oh god, like, yeah, I don't know. There's I can see the thing there. There's a lot of laziness as we go into the future, I guess. And so, with the laziness comes, I don't know what to call it, but like, there's less functional society, I guess, less functional things that are not as good quality. As to where when you had the rules that were enforced or whatnot, whether or not they're a little strict, I mean, you usually got the results consistently. So,
Yeah,
kind of like you said with building statues or monuments and all these things earlier. I don't know if you said that on the stream or on the phone, but like, those things had to be done certain ways to work. Nowadays, we'd be like, oh, do we have to like actually do all this stuff, or can we shortcut it a little bit? It can last 10 years. Who cares? Sort of before, like these things needs to stand the test of time, and I feel like it'd be made cheaper now if they were to make a new Statue of Liberty or something that won't last that long.
It's fiberglass. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. They'd be like, oh, it's gonna rot in 10 years or something, or fall apart or whatever because they didn't structurally make it to last. It's where before they're like, we want what we make to have an impact and last.
Yeah, like Rome, their roads. There's still roads that the Romans made that you can use, but now it's like you make a road and then like 5 years later you gotta like cut up big patches of concrete and just put a new one in. It's like,
yeah, I don't. It seems very inefficient.
Yeah, I mean it's cool because it's more easily repaired, I guess, than Roman roads. But like
the fact that you have to constantly go and fix it is kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's redundant, I'd say.
Yeah, I work in a factory, so I see this firsthand with like, you've probably always had to have mechanics to like know how to fix things and stuff for the maintenance of the machinery to keep it flowing. But now it's like, oh yeah, we'll just get like a whole new thing because this will last like 5 years because we got to pump out numbers and stuff. There's no like quality. And this permeates in the culture, Yeah,
I really hate it, to be honest, especially thinking of appliances like fans, refrigerators, washers, things like that. Like they used to be made with quality enough to kind of last for a good 20 years, maybe. Now they're made to pretty much, okay, we want this to break in a year or two so you can buy a new one.
Yeah, well, phones is a great example. Or like, yeah, like this stuff they figured out. That's the problem with like you could critique capitalism making the system is like excess and stuff and like replacements. So like the phone, before like you could probably have a phone from the 90s that still works, but now it's like, oh, it's 2 years up, my phone's broke, I gotta get a new plan.
I'm surprised so many people are eager to switch phones. People are like, oh yeah, you can switch my phone. I'm like, oh, that's weird. I'd rather have mine just for as long as I can.
Yeah, like I've always had that mentality. Like I had my first phone, a Go phone. I had that for like 3 years, and then I had the next phone was an upgrade, is like a slider, and I had that till like it just malfunctioned in Afghanistan. It was my alarm clock, and I had it till it fucking died. And I only got an iPhone because of an upgrade the wife got. Like I was content with my Walmart phone because I'm like, wow, I can get on the internet with my phone. That's fucking cool.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's kind of how I am too. I want to have things to last, and I don't want to have to refill things more because that's just more. It's almost like why even bother buying it in the first place? You're just going to buy like 30 of these over the next 10 years. Like, doesn't make any sense.
Game systems, they also manufacture necessity where it's like, oh, the new game, like it's not backwards compatible. You got to get the new system to play this new game.
I fucking hate that. Well, and they're pretty much made to break at some point. That's to where like N64s and some of those video game systems were built to last again.
My son plays my Xbox like every day, playing Battlefront.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good that it hasn't broken, but you know how like there's thousands of Xboxes that have broken, like for whatever malfunction shit in their tech, where they probably could have made it better to where that doesn't happen. But they're like, hey, some of these happens, people can buy new ones, and they released them. They released a malfunctioning box, essentially, or one that could easily malfunction, which is a little ridiculous, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's funny. It's canceled.
I can bitch about technology all the time. Why not? It's what we do. We're bitchers when it comes to technology. Complainers.
Have you seen this new thing with Kotaku?
Who?
I think it's like a game website. I'm not sure.
Kotaku sounds like a Pokemon.
It's funny. My kids are getting into Kotaku.
Kotaku, use rice bowl blast or some shit. I don't know.
Let me see. Kotaku.
So it's like a new cartoon.
Anti-social justice. So they're trying to demonize. Hold on. They're trying to demonize this developer or director or something for a new Harry Potter game.
Okay.
This. I'm not really in the game, but now it's one of these like kind of like the politics, cancel shit. Now I'm kind of like, oh, now I want to buy this game now. Let me share.
Last time I played a Harry Potter game was back in PlayStation 1. One of those games.
Hogwarts Legacy lead designer used to an anti-social justice YouTube channel. Troy Levitt is a lead designer at Warner Bros. Development studio Avalanche, currently working on controversial Harry Potter game Hogwarts Legacy. He ran a reactionary YouTube channel focused on attacking feminism and social justice for over a year.
The bigot. the bigot and his brother misogyny, you're at it again.
Yeah, he did a channel featured videos like the injustice of social justice in praise of cultural appropriation and our thought crimes becoming real, a latter reference to George Orwell's dystopic sci-fi novel 1984. Right-wing commentators often use the book's authoritarian Big Brother government as a comparison point in their criticism, likening the national surveillance state to the real-world equality movements. The Pixar, among Levitt's other videos are lengthy defenses of John Lasseter, the Pixar co-founder who left his position at Disney after allegations of sexual misconduct, which, if I'm correct, that was he hugged someone who later said it was like a Me Too thing. And Nolan Bushnell, the Atari co-founder, who Kotaku's reporting found to have fostered a toxic work environment for women. I don't know anything about that one. In some of the videos, he expressed support for Gamergate, a movement that fostered harassment against women and other minorities in the gaming industry. And criticized Anita Sarkeesian's Tropes versus Women series as an uninformed fringe position.
Oh, no.
He discussed opinions saying Gamergate, while painful at times, on the whole proved to be a good thing. He did not respond to Kotaku's multiple requests for comment in time for publication.
Oh, it's funny. It's funny to hear Gamergate in placement of Fandom Menace or Comicsgate. It's kind
They're
of funny.
always banking back on Gamergate.
It's like the first one.
It's funny because Woo is someone involved with this talk. On top of it, Harry Potter's very controversial because J.K. Rowling is a TERF. She's essentially espoused like anti-trans stuff about, womankind. And that's got the mob after her because, like, whatever feminist crap she divulges, she's just like with this Biden thing, essentially forcing women to compete with men in their biological men who are trans women.
I seriously want to see more Randy Savages and just put on a little bow on their hair and be like, I'm Janessa, and then beat the shit out of the other fighters. Oh yeah, I win, top woman champion, and just every sport is just all the trans are really dominating all women's sports right now. And gee, I wonder how that happened.
Well, I mean, they've been trying to suppress it, but it's made the rounds in the media of studies showing that, like, years later, trans women still have a biological advantage over cis women in sports because of the testosterone.
I imagine women aren't exactly liking that this is happening.
Well, yeah, you think, like, you fight to, like, there was something I saw, some guy just like kicked the box as a woman at like a 5K or some shit and came in second in women's.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I take the box to make a point, like, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to find something. I shared something earlier today about trans rights or something, kind of making fun of this whole clown world we're in. You find it.
One of the things while we're talking, I saw was that the Muppets are going to have like a warning, like a little warning beforehand, and apparently a Kermit channel or whatever blue check mark said hashtag we love Gina Carano as well or something.
Oh, no.
I don't know. People are linking things. I don't know any of the information. I'm just seeing whatever people are talking about on Twitter. But that's kind of interesting if that's why.
Yeah. Okay. So this guy said, I just clicked a box saying I was female. Male Trinity student comes second in women's race. Oh, there's something funnier too. Let me find it.
I'm gonna say there was a funny one with South Park. Which I don't think you saw this episode either, where Eric Cartman wants to try out for the Special Olympics so that he can win the first prize money or whatever. But he's also fat, and he didn't really think about that. He's like, I'm going to beat these retards, and he tries to do it and gets annihilated by the more athletic ones. But that was funny.
Let me share this. Come
on, you're keeping our one viewer waiting. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Here we go. This is what you voted.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh god, they got their ass beat.
And so Fallon, a transgender MMA fighter, has now broken 2 female opponents' skulls. When is enough? You're essentially a man who's beating on women, and people are celebrating it. She was named bravest athlete in 2020. I said what I said, and at the top,
do they know what the definition of brave means?
I said, hashtag trans is beautiful, you bigots. That's a woman beating the fuck out of a woman. This is what progress looks like. Get the fuck out of the way, trans folks.
That's a good one. That's a good one. What's funny about that too with the South Park one with the Randy Savage, like that was the strong woman's ex-boyfriend or something, and yeah, he likes to beat the shit out of chicks. He's a violent dude. So that's just kind of funny. It's like, yeah, that's so trans women do that. Yep, totally. Yep, it'll all work out.
Yeah, let me see.
Dude, that chick's face is fucked up, man. I was like, dude, that's like horror movie blood effects right there on the face. Shit.
Yeah, let me share this one. This is a funny one. All right. White people are born with certain traits or privileges which give them immutable advantages over other races. No one must ever forget the inherited advantages of white race.
Yep, just always bringing that up. Yeah, I think there was a whole skit about that at some point. It was like there's like a SJW and a white supremacist or something, and they're like they're like best friends. He's like, or the SJW one's like, I think that minorities and white people should be separated. He's like, me too, and they're like high fiving and like skipping around together, and it's like, I think that we should just have separate water fountains. Now you're speaking my language or something. It's like I think that there should be notable differences or something with whatever in the workplace. Hell yeah, sign me up. Let's separate out our things. It's like just totally on board with each other's things. It's like, oh god, that's funny.
Yeah, that's it's funny, the clown world we're in, and it's just like, oh god, I hope this ends soon.
Well, like I was gonna say, like it's like I think we've been in clown world for years, but it just morphs a little into something different each time. Like it never fully ends. It's just a different level of clownage that's changed shape a bit. Like in the last 20 years, it wasn't the same clownage, but there was probably a clownage around that you or I probably weren't as aware of. Now it's just a different clownage. And now there's more, and now everybody talks to each other with social media, so it's extremely more noticeable. That's clownage.
I just saw you tag me in the sex instructor.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
Oh, that's good. I'm checking my updates.
Yep. There we go. There's been some funny stuff here and there today.
Yeah, I love posting like an SJW to make a point about SJWs. It's like fascism and communism. You know, these extremes, they end up doing like the same exact thing despite the overall philosophical directive. It's crazy. Yeah, anything in closing you want to say or chat about before we go?
Not really, I guess. I will be releasing Tomato Wars episode 3 soon, and yeah, I might be making some videos here and there, a little different. I forgot to do a Willy's Wonderland review, so I'm gonna do that tomorrow and put that up.
Yeah, run me through because I haven't watched all. Run me through that interview you did with the movie guy.
What was your question? What?
Like, kind of fill me in a little bit about that.
Yeah. I talked with Cameron Pasha on Friday, a little bit before work, just for under an hour, and yeah, I was pretty much talking about the Hollywood system and like if there's like a independent movement separate of it, and what to do and what to expect, or how the film industry is going to go forward. Does he think anyway, having worked in that industry? And he's pretty much saying like, do you remember that Tom Cruise audio leak recently? Where he's like shouting at the two people for not distancing themselves properly. He's like, we jobs are on the line and blah blah blah. He's like, that's pretty much a PR stunt, like to get people to think that that's how they're treating it every day or something. When in reality, when they're filming to get anything done the way they want to, they're pretty much ignoring all the rules for the COVID restrictions. And it's like because they wanted it to be like where one person mans a camera, but like for a lot of films, that's kind of impossible. And so there's like, oh, we'll have like our intern that will that's like 20 years old. We'll hire them as our COVID manager, and they'll say, hey, you guys need to separate a little or something, and then they just ignore them. But they're like, hey, we're doing what y'all said. We have them on the staff. There they are. And they're just doing their stuff as normal, but they're not letting that leak out too much, really. Because
COVID patrol.
Because you can't, of course, with all that. But it's like, so it sounds like they're pretty much getting their movies done by ignoring a lot of the rules. But that's not exactly what he said. That's what he thinks is going on with it. Which I could believe with that, like the Tom Cruise thing. But I don't know the guy, dude. Didn't he have an outbreak before? Or was that Christian Bale?
That was Christian Bale.
Okay. But like, yeah, it's hinted that like some of this stuff is like PR stuff to, get people to think that that's what's going on, but they're really doing quicker stuff. But I don't know. I think it kind of makes sense in a way because there's all these projects that are still being made right now, and they have deadlines, and it's like, if it's going to survive, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah. I'm sure this funny thing. I love soundbite. Make sure it's sounds up. All right, here we go.
I don't hear it. I don't think you shared the audio.
Ah, damn it, Alex Jones. It's just a random snippet where he's like, "I like women with big, giant tits and a big ass." It's just a funny because it's no context. Oh, okay. This is what it's from. I got in this like Twitter wormhole on this comment. So let me share it. Oh no, we got Wookiee supremacy in here. Speaking bean, he says, "Bangus rookie, que pasa mi amigos."
Hell yeah, brother.
Let me show this. I don't know if this is like a troll or whatnot, but he says, my wife, very proud of her 2.5 months postpartum body, insisted I post pic for clout, and it's just like, holy shit, like that's after a baby. God damn, you're lucky. Like,
Yeah.
like, and and so what got me was this guy posted, milky, milky, warm and tasty, mommy milky. Please be hasty. Refreshing drink from mommy's udders. I want mommies and no others. Give it, give it, give it now. Give me milky, lazy cow. Until you do, I'll scream, I'll shout, I'll cry, I'll whine and stomp about.
Pretty curious. I wonder how long he thought of to make that one.
the gimpy Pepe. Pepe is so funny. Oh yeah, it's funny. So the guy who made Pepe, it was like for a comic or some shit. He's got like a documentary about like doing his part to fight white supremacy with his meme.
Oh no.
Oh god, it's so ridiculous. Yeah, Wookie, if you're new in here, you should watch the replay. We got a lot of good dialogue, random stuff. Gina Carano and talking a little bit about Rome and Caesar, and then we had a part talking about Red Pill and stuff with Ricky. It was good stuff. So I highly suggest you watch. That's a weird thing to comment. Yeah, no, I just like that. Yeah, thanks for popping in, man. But yeah, watch the replay. I think you'll enjoy it. I'm gonna get out of here. I get ready for work in the morning, and I don't know what Rookie's up to, but yeah, thanks for hanging out. Look forward to new content from Rookie, getting back in the swing of things finally, and myself as well. Sorry for this being impromptu, but he called me up, and it was funny. He called me because I answered. I'm like, "What the fuck do you want?" And it's like, "Oh, it's not someone else's Rookie."
See, I should have sent you a text first, but you're like, no, just call.
Well, no, I wouldn't have checked my phone if I got a text, but I don't have the sound on, so
yeah,
good stuff.
Hands up, Willie's out, everybody.
Hell yeah. See you later.